Come on, let's give God praise in the building. Bless his holy name. Amen. Truly, we are excited for another installation of Word of Wisdom Bible study here at the mighty New Jerusalem Center of Deliverance, Covenant Kingdom Ministries International, 43 Johnson Avenue, Cranford, New Jersey. Each and every Tuesday night, 7 to 8 p.m., we come to learn more of the Lord. And we're excited about our teachings on this year as we go deeper into the characters of the Bible. Amen. And to learn more of them and what made them special. And on tonight, we will be learning of Enoch. All right. Tonight, we'll be learning of Enoch. Hebrews chapter 11 and verse 5 tells us, by faith, Enoch was translated that he should not see death, and was not found, because God had translated him. For before his translation, he had this testimony that he pleased God. That's Enoch. Enoch never tasted death. He never died. But he was so close to God that just one day doing his daily business, he just vanished. God just took him. And he had this testimony before he was translated that he pleased God. What we're going to learn, or what God has given me to bring out about Enoch tonight, is how Enoch, amen, was the end of a generational curse. Enoch was the end of a generational curse. Genesis 4, 16 and 17. You'll see why I say that. Genesis chapter 4, 16 and 17. What do we know about Enoch? What did he do that caused him to be translated? What was his testimony before he left this earth? That he what? Pleased God. Very important to know that Enoch pleased God. Genesis 4, 16 and 17 says, and Cain. Oh, y'all remember Cain? Y'all remember Cain and his brother Abel? You remember Cain killed Abel. He slew his brother. Cain was the first human to be born. Abel was the first human to be murdered. And Cain killed Abel because Cain was jealous of God's blessings on Abel. Because God blessed Abel according to how Abel blessed God. Remember, Abel gave God up the first fruits, the first of his harvest, of his livestock. He gave the best to God. Where Cain gave his leftovers. He gave whatever he was done with. Now, God blessed both Cain and Abel, but he blessed them according to their giving. And Cain was jealous of Abel, and Cain killed Abel. This is the first sign of murder. This is the first sign that we see evil. Well, no, the first sign of evil was when Adam and Eve disobeyed God, but this is a continuance. See what happened? Adam and Eve disobeyed God. Sin enters into mankind. And in that now, jealousy is in the family, and Cain kills Abel. But look at this very important scripture. Genesis 4:16 says, and Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden. And Cain knew his wife, And she conceived and bare a son named who? Enoch. And he built a city and called the name of the city after the name of his son, Enoch. Now, again, what is Enoch known for?
Pleasing God.
Pleasing God. Who was Enoch's father? Cain. Who did not please God. So this right here shows me that I do not carry the sins of my father. If I do what's righteous, then the generational curse that's in my family stops with me. Adam disobeyed God. Sin entered into mankind. From that, they were expelled from the Garden of Eden. Now, sins in mankind, jealousy and envy rises up amongst the only two brothers on earth. Cain lets jealousy rise in his heart and kills his only brother Abel. But then he too is driven out from the presence of the Lord and dwells in a land called Nod and knows his wife, because now time is gone. Earth is being populated. And this, again, was not incestuous at this time. Okay? It was for the replenishing or the population of the earth. But here, Cain knows his wife and has a son named Enoch, who walked so closely to the Lord and to God that God felt the earth was not worthy to have him, and he never tasted death. Now, don't know where Enoch is, because the Bible says flesh and blood shall not inherit the kingdom of heaven. But it never said it couldn't visit. Now, before we all get to heaven, Enoch got to come down and be transformed and then translated or raptured again. So this, when I read this, I was like, wow, this is good to let folks know that you may have had parents that were alcoholics or drug addicts or prostitutes or pimps or less desirable or addicted to demonic forces, but that does not mean you have to have that same curse on you. Because what a complete and total contrast. Cain did not please God, but yet his son pleased God. Look at Genesis 5:22 and 24. And Enoch, this is where Hebrews 11 and 5 summarizes. Genesis 5:22 and 24. And Enoch walked with God after he begat Methuselah. Y'all heard of Methuselah?
Yeah.
What do we know about Methuselah? Oh, that's a joke. If anybody would tell you he was old as Methuselah, that's a joke. Anybody know how old Methuselah lived to be? Huh?
997.
Was it 987 years old?
It's 900 something.
987?
100.
Methuselah lived 939 years.
939.
69. Longest at the age of 969 years.
69 years?
Yeah.
Methuselah lived 969 years. I showed him 30 years. 969 years. Recorded the oldest living person, right?
Yes.
Who's Methuselah's father? Enoch. So Enoch fathered Methuselah. You see how with Enoch, his seed lived so long because of his righteousness. And I know that's kind of hard to believe that they were righteous in the book of Genesis, because there was no Bible, there was no Old Testament, no New Testament. The outpouring of the Spirit had not. But at some point, possibly, maybe, from Grandpa Adam and Grandma Eve, maybe them telling them about God and their walk with God, because faith comes by
Hearing.
so maybe down through the years, hearing great grandma Eve and great grandpa Adam talk about God, that through hearing, some of the children caught faith. That's why it's good to talk about God, because you don't know who's going to take faith in what you say. After he begat Methuselah 300 years and begat sons and daughters, and all the days of Enoch were 365 years. And Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. Told you, Enoch never died, but he lived 365 years on earth, and God took him. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see the devastation of sin? How in the Old Testament, they lived hundreds of years. Noah was 600 years old when he got on the ark. When he got on the ark, he was 600 years old. They lived hundreds of years in the beginning, because originally, how long should Adam and Eve have lived? Forever. They were created to live forever. But what cut the lifespan? Sin. And you know, down through the years now, what man is promised? 70 years. The Bible says, peradventure, you found some grace, you might make 85. From 900 to 600 to 300, because of the devastation of sin, if by chance God keeps his promise, we make 70 years old. Don't tell me sin don't have no effect. And sin kills gradually. Because it's not when Adam and Eve were created to live forever and then they sinned and then they died the next day. You see, their direct descendants lived hundreds of years, but you see, as time went on and as sin went on, the time that we lived got shorter. Now look at 2018. What's the average lifespan of folks now? Well, if you talk about the minority groups and groups in the inner city, they don't make it out there late teens. So you go from supposed to live forever to living for hundreds of years to living not even making your 20th birthday. Why? Because of sin. So now, let's get into this. We understand that Enoch was the son of Cain, and although Enoch did not act like his father, who did he act like? Who did he act like?
Enoch.
Because then he would have acted like his grandfather, being Adam. So, if he pleased God,
He acted like God.
who did Enoch act like? If he didn't act like his father, who didn't please God, who was the other person left?
His mother. I don't know.
He acted like his uncle Abel. Because Abel pleased God. Because Abel gave God of his first. So again, when it comes to generation and family, the DNA, just because your mother, father may act one way, you may may be blessed to act like your uncle who acts in a different way, or your aunt, or your grandmother, or your cousin. So although Cain birthed Enoch, Enoch had the spirit of his uncle Abel. See, this generation thing, it's important to know that with God, he can change generation. He can stop generational curses, because we can't choose the families that we are born in. And my heart goes out to babies who are born to drug-addicted mothers, alcoholic mothers. What a disadvantage you give a baby that when it's born, it's crying out not for milk, but it's crying out for drugs. It's crying out for alcohol. Because as you were shooting up, as you were drinking, as you was popping pills and getting high, what was in your system, the baby was taking. So the baby was getting high. The baby was getting drunk. And now that the baby is born with a craving not for milk. It's born with a craving now for crack. It's born with a craving now for alcohol. What a disadvantage, and what a disservice for a mother to put its newborn baby like that. Now, here it is, a newborn baby has to go cold turkey. A newborn baby has to have detox. I remember being in high school, seeing when we had, health. When we had health, and they were showing pictures of we were trying to be drug awareness and all that. I seen the film. They showed the film of someone going cold turkey off of cocaine. It's not a pretty sight. Your body literally turns on itself because of the craving of that drug. And that was an adult that was vomiting and laying on the ground and rolling, balled up because of the pain, because every fiber in his body was crying out for a drug. That was a grown man in the video. What about these little babies that are born? But guess what? You can be born to a drug-addicted, alcohol-addicted mother. But that does not mean that you will be a drug or alcohol-addicted child or person. My biological father died from alcoholism. He died of cirrhosis of the liver. My biological father, who I'm named after, died from alcohol. I don't like alcohol. My mother told me when she was in the hospital, while he's on his deathbed, I was just born. My mother said, she told him, I hope he don't wind up like you. He said, he won't. He won't. Just because you're born in a situation, just because you're born with a particular set of parents or family members, or just because you're born in a particular neighborhood, does not mean you have to succumb to that situation. What you do like we do when we want pictures developed. When you want pictures developed, you take the negative to the film developer and you give him the negatives. And after a few hours or days, when you go back, they give you back your positive pictures. And you're looking at the positive pictures, and you're looking at the bright colors and the smiles, and you're looking at the party and whatever else you took a picture of. But when you get to the end of your positive pictures, in the back, they also included your negatives. Well, why would you give me back my negatives with the positives? Because the only way to make more positive pictures is you need negatives. You cannot make more positive pictures with positive pictures. That's a copy. And then the copy is not going to look like the original because it's going to be black and white. It's going to be grainy. If you want positive pictures, you need some negatives. So learn how to take your negative situation and develop it into a positive situation. All right? Now, generational curses can stop with you. Ezekiel chapter 18. All right? We're going to run through this. Y'all with me so far?
Yes, sir.
Generational curses can stop with you. You can say, abuse will no longer run in my bloodline. It stops with me. You can say teenage pregnancy will no longer ruin the women in my life, in my family. It stops with me. And when I say teenage pregnancy, I'm not talking about the baby. Because the babies, the Bible says that children are a blessing from God. It's not the babies, okay? But when you do it outside of God's will, you add on the extra drama that life is already going to bring you. You add on now, you may have to stop and go to school. Didn't say you can't go to school again, but now you may have to stop to take care of the baby. You may have to quit school and go to work to take care. You may have to now learn how it is to go without to take care. So it's not the babies. But when you see your girlfriend, the struggle they have. When you see your aunts, the struggle they have. When you see your mother, son, you should say, I'm not going to go through that struggle. I'm going to follow God's plan. And if you do happen to know a pattern in your family, you can declare your comeback and say that this thing right here stops with me. I'm not going to be an alcoholic. I'm not going to be a drunk. That's the same thing. I'm not going to be a drug addict. I'm not going to be promiscuous. I'm not going to be labeled a hoe or this, that. I'm not going to be. It stops with me. If all the men in your family are weak, you better get some backbone somewhere and say, that's not going to be me. I'm not going to wear no dress like my uncle. My uncle shouldn't wear no dress. I'm not going to play dress up like my cousins do with my aunt's stuff. When I'm doing that, I'll be barefoot before I put my mother's high heel shoes on. You got to say it stops with me. Now, Ezekiel 18, 1 through 4. It says this. The word of the Lord came unto me again. All right? Everyone have that?
Yes.
Saying, what mean ye that you use this proverb or this saying concerning the land of Israel? Now, the word came back to Ezekiel from God saying, what is Israel talking about when they say the fathers have eaten sour grapes and the children's teeth are set on edge? Anybody know what that means? The fathers, think about it. The fathers have eaten sour grapes and the children's teeth are on edge.
Like a generational curse.
So it means,
The children suffer from
there you go. Israel tried to tell God that they're suffering because of what their fathers did. Now, if that was the case, that would make God what? Unjust. If God beat you for something your sister did, if your parents beat you, and I know some parents did, if your parents beat you for something your siblings did, that's unfair. I didn't do it, what I'm getting the beating for. But Israel, because they did not want to take ownership of their sins and equate it to the predicament that they're in, they tried to blame God for the state that they were in and not take ownership for putting themselves there in the first place. God said, as I live, saith the Lord, you will not have no more occasion to tell me this right here. He says, behold, all souls are mine, saith the Lord. The soul of the Father, so also the soul of the Son. But the soul that sins, it shall die. He had to get Israel straight. Say, Israel, now, you're not being punished because of what your fathers did. You're being punished for what you did. It goes, same chapter of Ezekiel 18. Let's go down to verse 19 and 20. It says, yet say ye, why doth not the Son bear the iniquity of the Father? When the Son hath done that which is lawful and right, and have kept all my statutes, and have done them, he shall surely live. Israel had to ask God, well, why aren't the children being punished for what the Father has done? And God had to tell them, if the Son is walking according to my word, why would I punish them according to the sins of their father? Watch. The soul, again, that sinneth, it shall die. The Son shall not bear the iniquity of the Father, neither shall the Father bear the iniquity of the Son. The righteousness of the righteous shall be upon him, and the wickedness of the wicked shall be upon him. Plain and simple, right, y'all? If you righteous, you live. If you wicked, you die. Does not matter what nobody else is doing. You can't say, well, I'm this way because my mama was this way, or I'm this way because my daddy was this way, I'm this way because everybody in my family is this way. No, it can stop with you. Prime example. I'm going to sum this up. 1 Samuel 4, 18 to 22 talks about the day that the glory of the Lord left the temple. Eli, the high priest, had two sons, Hophnius and Phinehas, who did evil in the house of God. They was the pastor's kids. They were the king's kids. And Eli, because of his old age and blindness and not having the ability to chastise his kids, let them do whatever they did. They mishandled the sacred things of the church. They ran with the women. They misused the money. And so God allowed the enemy to come in. And both Hophnius and Phinehas both died by the sword at the hands of the enemy. Well, when word got back to the king, Eli, the priest, right, when he heard his sons had died, he fell back and died. One of the sons' wife was pregnant with a child. And when she heard that because of all of this sin that was going on, that the presence of God, the glory of God had left the temple, the glory is gone, my father-in-law is dead, my husband is dead, my brother-in-law is dead. She was in birth. And the handmaids that were with her tried to encourage her, saying, oh, it's good, you're having a child, and you're having a male child, and you're having a male child, so that's going to continue the legacy, because you know the male children carried on the name. Let me show you what she said. But she answered not, neither did she regard it, and she named the child Ichabod, saying, the glory is departed from Israel, because the ark of God was taken, and because of her father-in-law and her husband. And she said, the glory is departed from Israel, for the ark of God is taken. In her sorrow, in her pain, in her distress, she named her son Ichabod, which means no glory. So now this man has to grow up with a name that says no glory. had to grow up with a name that says God is not with you. Has to grow up with a name that is synonymous to the death of your grandfather, your father, your uncle, and all that. You talk about a heavy burden that's laid on somebody. That's why names are also important. We're going to close in 1 Chronicles 4, 9, and 10 with a very familiar character. There is also a young man that was named out of sorrow. But this young man knew the Lord and refused to take on that generational curse because of what's happened to somebody else. That mother was wrong for naming her child Ichabod for what she was feeling. Because what did she do? She passed down her sorrow onto her unborn child by placing it in his name. But 1 Chronicles 4, 9, and 10 talks about a man named Jabez. Anybody ever heard of Jabez before? And look what it says. 1 Chronicles 4, 9, and 10. And Jabez was more what? Honorable than his brothers. Jabez was more honorable than his brothers. And his mother called his name Jabez, saying, because I bear him with sorrow. Wait a minute. If I'm more honorable than all my brothers, but Mom, because you was in pain and distress when you had me, you gonna label me something that God didn't make me. God makes us honorable. But Mom, because you was feeling some kind of way, you want to take away what God made me. See, that's why it's important, y'all, to have good parents. Because your parents are supposed to, what? Be the ones who rear you and guide you in the right way. Not lay more burden on you than life is already going to bring you. Jabez, the next sentence says, and Jabez called on who? The God of Israel, saying, oh, that thou wouldest bless me indeed, and enlarge my coast, and that thy hand might be what? With me, and that thou wouldest keep me from evil, that it may not grieve me. And here's the good part, y'all. And God granted him that which he requested. Jabez said, Ma, you ain't putting that on me. No, Ma, you ain't going to put that generational curse on me. I know I'm more honorable than my brothers because that's how God made me. So I'm going to go to the one who made me. You had me, but I'm going to the one who made me. And ask him, God, will you bless me indeed? Enlarge my, in other words, reverse what my mama put on me. And that's what we get from Enoch. That generational curse that's in the bloodline of all of our families, because all of our families have something in it. It can stop with us when we go to God and ask God, God, reverse the curse and bless us indeed. Come on, give God some praise.